Ever found yourself questioning the teachings of your faith? Let me take you back to a time when I, Melissa, was deeply entrenched in my devotion to the Catholic Church. As a young girl, I was drawn to the allure of the divine, a pull so strong that it led me to the cloistered life of a nun. The church was my home, my sanctuary, and the center of my universe. Every day was steeped in rituals and teachings that formed the bedrock of my faith. The rhythm of prayers punctuated my daily life, from the morning's first light to the evening's gentle descent into darkness. I clung to the words of the Holy Scripture, embracing them as the ultimate truth. The rituals, the hymns, the sacraments, they were all threads woven into the fabric of my existence. I lived my life within the confines of the convent, away from the distractions of the secular world. I found solace in the solitude, my heart resonating with the hymns of devotion that echoed through the hallowed halls. I was a part of a sisterhood, bound by a shared faith and a shared way of life. The teachings of the Church shaped my understanding of faith. I was taught to believe in a God who was omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, a God who was the source of all love, all wisdom, and all truth. The doctrines were intricate, complex, but I embraced them, for they were the lens through which I viewed the world. In the eyes of the world, I was a nun, a woman who had renounced worldly pleasures to dedicate her life to God. But beyond the habits and the rituals, I was a seeker, a soul on a quest for spiritual truth. The more I immersed myself in the teachings of the Church, the more I felt a deep, unshakable devotion stirring within me. Yet, even as I knelt in prayer, as I recited the Scriptures, something began to stir within me. A tiny seed of doubt that would soon grow into a towering tree. Questions began to form, challenging the very foundations of my faith. But within the sanctuary of my devotion, doubts began to creep in. A brush with death can change everything. One day, while engaged in my usual prayers, I collapsed. What followed was a journey beyond the physical world. I found myself floating in an expanse of infinite light. It was an ethereal realm, far removed from the confines of the Church and the rigidity of its doctrines. Suddenly I was not just Melissa, the nun. I was an eternal soul, part of a cosmic tapestry woven with threads of divine energy. It was a revelation that shattered my understanding of spirituality. The profound spiritual truths I encountered in this near-death experience were beyond any teachings I had received within the walls of the Church. In this celestial realm, I experienced a profound sense of unity, a feeling of being intertwined with all life. I understood that the divine was not an entity to be feared or supplicated to, but a presence to be experienced and embraced within oneself. This realization was both liberating and deeply unsettling. I found myself in a quandary, a conflict between the spiritual truths I had experienced and the religious beliefs I had held for so long. The doctrines of the Church seemed to me like a narrow path, not allowing for the exploration of the vast landscape of spirituality. I began to question the teachings that had shaped my faith. Did they truly foster spiritual growth and understanding, or did they merely serve to contain spirituality within a box of dogma and ritual? In this realm of light, I encountered a presence that conveyed a profound message, the importance of seeking truth beyond institutional teachings. This presence, imbued with boundless love and wisdom, encouraged me to question, to explore, and to seek my own understanding of the divine. It was a call to authenticity, a call to break free from the confines of dogma and to embrace a more personal and direct connection with the divine. It was a call that would set me on a path of spiritual exploration, a path that would forever change my life. In that realm of light, I encountered a presence that would forever change my perception of faith. What if the truth was not confined within the walls of an institution? That question became my compass, guiding me away from the shores of familiar doctrine and into the uncharted waters of personal spirituality. The teachings of the Church, once as comforting as a warm blanket, now felt more like a cage. I began to question the rigidity of dogma, the strict adherence to rituals, the notion of sin and redemption. These doctrines, I feared, were not facilitating spiritual growth, but stifling it. and there was this nagging feeling that the Church's portrayal of the divine as an external, judgmental force was incomplete. My near-death experience had introduced me to a presence that was loving, accepting, and deeply personal. That presence was within me, within us all, not housed in a far-off celestial realm. So I embarked on a journey of questioning, of seeking truth beyond institutional teachings. I delved into the scriptures, not just of Christianity, but of various faiths. I immersed myself in philosophy, science, and the arts, understanding that truth could be found in the most unexpected places. The more I questioned, the more I discovered. I found a deeper, more meaningful connection to the divine, one that transcended rituals and dogma. I learned that spirituality was not about blindly following a set of rules, but about nurturing an intimate relationship with the divine within us. I discovered that sin and redemption were not about punishment and atonement, but about learning and growth. We are spiritual beings on a human journey, not sinners in need of salvation. Every experience, every mistake is an opportunity for spiritual growth, a step closer to our divine essence. This journey of discovery was not without its challenges. The comfort of familiar beliefs was replaced with the uncertainty of exploration. But in that uncertainty I found freedom to connect with the divine in my own way, to define my own path of spirituality, to seek truth beyond the confines of dogma. The realization was profound yet disconcerting. True spirituality was personal, not confined to rituals or dogma. And with that realization, I was no longer a nun, but a seeker of truth, a spiritual explorer, navigating the vast ocean of divine wisdom, guided by the compass of personal experience. When you deviate from the norm, the path can often be lonely. This was a reality I faced head-on as I began to share my experience and the profound truths I had discovered. The same walls that had once been a sanctuary of faith no longer offered me solace. Instead, they echoed with the whispers of skepticism and doubt. I remember the day I decided to share my story with my fellow nuns. The room was filled with a silence so thick it felt tangible. Every eye bore into me, a mix of bewilderment and disbelief. I could see the struggle in their eyes, the conflict between wanting to believe me and the doctrines they had adhered to for so long. My words fell on deaf ears and my revelations were met with rejection. My family was no different. My revelations were too radical, too far removed from the teachings we had grown up with. The daughter, the sister they knew, was now a stranger, someone who had strayed from the path of righteousness they believed. My mother's eyes, once filled with pride, now held a deep sorrow. My siblings, who had always been my closest allies, now viewed me with suspicion. This was the isolation I faced. The rejection was palpable, a bitter pill to swallow. Yet I was not deterred, for in the face of skepticism, I found strength. In the face of rejection, I found resolve. I realized that the truth I had discovered was not meant to fit neatly into the box of conventional beliefs. It was a truth that was meant to challenge, to question, and to provoke thought. The isolation was a stark contrast to the life I had known. The days were long and the nights even longer. But within this solitude, I found peace. A peace that stemmed from the certainty that I was on the right path, even if it was a path less traveled. A peace that came from knowing that my journey was not just about me, but about sharing the truth with those who were ready to listen. Yet, the isolation was a small price to pay for the truth I had discovered. A spiritual journey is a path of continuous exploration. My path led me away from the confines of traditional religious doctrine towards a more fluid comprehension of spirituality. I came to understand that faith is a deeply personal experience, one that transcends the boundaries of ritual and dogma. My faith became a work in progress, a living entity that grew and evolved with me. It was no longer a set of rules to abide by, but a quest for truth and understanding. I began to see the divine not as a distant entity, but as a presence within me, within all of us. This revelation was both liberating and daunting, freeing me from the shackles of indoctrination, but leaving me in uncharted waters. Yet, it was in this vast ocean of uncertainty that I found my true faith. My faith was no longer defined by doctrines, but by my personal connection with the divine. When the divine touches you, it becomes a mission to touch others. I felt this calling deep within my soul, urging me to share my experiences. I began to write, pouring out my revelations onto paper, transforming my personal journey into a message for others. I took to public speaking, my voice resonating in rooms filled with individuals yearning for spiritual enlightenment. My aim was not to impose my beliefs, but to inspire others to question, to explore, to dare to seek the divine within themselves. I wanted them to understand that spirituality is a personal journey, shaped by individual experiences and revelations, not confined within the walls of religious doctrines. I shared my story not as a former nun, but as a fellow seeker of truth, hoping to encourage others to break free from limiting teachings and embrace their unique spiritual paths. My journey, I hope, will inspire others to embark on their own paths of spiritual exploration and authenticity.